Did you know when the US recycling levels reach 75%, it will be an environment and CO2 equivalent of removing 55 million cars from the US roads each year? Also, when the levels reach 75%, it will generate 1.5 million new jobs in the US. I got this info from Recycle Across America. There are many ways that we already benefit from recycling efforts locally. An example of how recycling impacts our local environment is through reduction of landfill volumes. Another is the reduction of water demand from our local aquifer. Recycling also impacts our local economy through the creation of recycling industry related jobs. I am not as knowledgeable as an industry spokesperson, but I have first-hand experience with recycling efforts, from daily recycling from trash to the reclaiming of lumber, from residential construction projects. I have also done 10 hours of research time just for this speech. Because recycling efforts in the metropolitan areas have been so successful in the past, I propose that the same efforts and awareness programs being utilized in large metropolitan areas are to be implemented in rural areas as well. I will begin by discussing recycling and how we can restore and extend recycling efforts and awareness programs. We are facing a growing recycling crisis in America. Recycling processing plants are closing in growing numbers across America. The largest recycling hauler, also known as Waste Management in the US, had closed 25% of their plants. In the progress state of California, I got this info from gridwaste.com. More than 4 SD recycling plants have shut down since February this year. According to recyclingacrossamerica.org, an article authorized by Bill Mayer, this is a real problem for you and me, because we will start to use more natural resources and fill up landfills quicker. If we continue the trend of recycling reduction, our forests are one of our most valuable resources, which drives in the paper and construction industries. A slowing recycling industry would generate new products and, in the process, extra energy and new raw materials, which would create more greenhouse gases during the manufacturing process and during the transport of new products. Not to mention the deforestation of our wilderness. I got this info from Scott Pruitt. A slowing recycling program also generates more trash quicker, which would fill up landfills faster, which would release harmful chemicals and greenhouse gases into our immediate environment. The solution to the slowing recycling industry in America is to control the contamination in the recycling process. Contamination of recyclables occurs at the ground level, where consumers decide what is recyclable and what bin they should be put in. Do most of the consumers care about recycling? The answer is yes. But there are literally millions of different looking bins and labels everywhere we go. The root cause for confusion is the lack of government standardization of bins and labels. A standard system such as the ones used for traffic signs, road, highway lines would take the confusion and guesswork out of sorting recyclables. Our responses when using recycling bins would turn into a reflective response, not requiring consumers to differ multiple looking bins and labels that hold the same recyclable materials. The nonprofit organization Recycling Areas of America is attempting to implement this very standardization, but the collapse of the recycling industry can be addressed quickly through government intervention. A government standardized recycling bin and labeling system that's easier to use will always yield consumers buying and accuracy. In conclusion, our failing U.S. recycling system won't just cure itself on its own. If we, the people of the United States of America, hope to stop the deforestation of our forests, control our greenhouse gases emissions, and reduce our landfill obligations, we need to press our appointed government representatives to standardize our recycling process on a national level. The reduction of the recycling contamination is depending on the implementation of government recycling signage container standardization. Food for thought. What would San Antonio look like in 20 years if we didn't have a recycling program? What would it smell like? The first response to opening a new landfill is almost always, not in my backyard. We would not have to tear up the earth as much if we reduce our daily landfill requirements. Call to action. What can we do today, you ask? The next time you're confronted with recycling bin confusion, don't just give up and add to our problem. Take a few moments and try to make the best decision you can make at that moment. We're all depending on each other to make the right decision. That's it.